Merci beaucoup. Et maintenant, j'ai le plaisir d'appeler à la tribune Madame Dicki Chhoyang, responsable des relations extérieures de l'administration centrale tibétaine. S'il vous plaît.
Monsieur le Président, membres du comité, chers invités, c'est un grand honneur pour moi aujourd'hui de partager avec vous quelques pensées pour honorer la mention de Sa Sainteté le Dalai Lama comme étant une des personnes qui ont eu une grande influence sur Monsieur le Président. I'd like to say a few words in English, if you'll allow me. Mr. President, a few moments ago, talked about how he shared many of the values espoused by His Holiness the Dalai Lama. I want to elaborate on that thought and say that there's also another idea, another value, which I believe he also shares with Mr. Malosse, and that was alluded to by several of the speakers today, which is the importance of civil society. The belief in the importance of civil society, the importance of giving citizens a voice, the belief in how an engaged civil society can effect meaningful change and bring lasting positive impact in the development of a community, a country, a region. You may ask, how do I know this? A few weeks ago, I was privileged to sit in on a private audience that he granted to a few guests in Dharamsala. And in the course of that exchange, of course, as most of you know the situation in Tibet, a question was asked about the middle way policy, which is a policy that His Holiness has been supporting and that is also supported by the Central Tibetan Administration, which is to seek a resolution to the issue of Tibet by proposing that it remain an integral part of China. And people often ask, with this policy, it has not yielded any results, visible results, tangible results. And His Holiness responded, he said, perhaps officially, since the Chinese government is refusing to resume dialogue, it appears it has not yielded any results. But one must know that in the last few years, it has yielded tremendous result within Chinese civil society. And he said, in the end, civil society is what matters. Governments come and go, but the citizens, the people, civil society remain. As a staunch believer in the European Union, Mr. Malosse often speaks of his wish for a strong Europe as a whole, and this is certainly a wish that we as Tibetans share. In the last half-decade, Europe has undergone tremendous changes and succeeded in overcoming many challenges through institutions such as the European Union. In 2012, when the Norwegian Nobel Committee awarded its prize to the EU, it emphasized what it saw as the EU's most important result, which is a successful struggle for peace, reconciliation, democracy, and human rights. The stabilizing part it played in transforming most of Europe from a continent of war to a continent of peace. And today I allow myself to share these thoughts with you because the committee, the ESC, has been referred to as a conscience of the EU. So as the EU continues to maintain its engagement with China through its various established channels, including the ESSC, one hopes that this profound historical experience, European experience with the trauma of war, conflict, its hard-won freedom will manifest itself into the strength, the courage to play an active role in the resolution of long-standing conflicts such as the one between the Tibetan people and the Chinese government. Civil society's basic yearning for freedom cannot be silenced. Despite formidable adversity, it will find a way to have its voices heard. In China, we see this with initiatives such as the Collective Manifesto, Charter 08, with Nobel laureate Liu Xiaobo as one of its authors. In Tibet, we see this with the unfortunate cycle of self-immolations now numbering 115, despite our appeals to not resort to such drastic form of protest. The only weapon Tibetans have is the truth and an unwavering commitment to find peace. And today, in the words that have been shared by the previous speakers, words that resonate are particularly the words that say the right to know the truth. Everybody has the right to know the truth. Il faut dire la vérité. Standing up for the issue of Tibet, unlike the narrative that seems to be common right now, is not a choice between China and Tibet. Caring for one does not exclude caring for the other. No matter the country, civil society must be listened to, its hopes, its fears, its aspirations. It will not settle for anything less. So I will conclude with these words. I want to thank again Mr. Malosse for allowing me to be part of this very important ceremony. I have the pleasure of bringing with me a personal message by His Holiness for you, and to also, on his behalf, present you with the ceremonial Tibetan scarf, the kata.